Hey guys, so a couple days ago I went to the theater and saw a double feature. This is what now Thursday, and I saw these movies on Tuesday. The reason why it took me so long to do these reviews is because I just have had a lot of family emergencies happening, some deaths in the family, uh, some more important things going on than doing movie reviews, and because of that, I wasn't able to right away do these reviews. I finally had some free time, so I'm like, okay, let me finally get these done and over with. And these are not two movies. Like, it's not one of those things like, oh well, I don't have much to talk about. Trust me, I do have a lot to talk about. You know, especially one of them. But I just haven't had the time, And doing reviews, doing double reviews, and seeing two movies at once is kind of time consuming. So it's been a lot really busy lately. So let's start with what is the movie I have a lot to talk about, and that is The Witch. This is a movie that uh, is a movie that I went and saw because of the word of mouth that this movie has been getting for the last year or so has been very, very strong. Ever since like the end of last year, I've heard about this movie. I've heard really good things about it. It premiered like at Sundance and got like unanimous praise by all these critics, like for being this terrifying movie. And it's one of those. It had one of those trailers that annoy the crap out of me nowadays, and that it had all these glowing reviews involved included with the trailer of for this movie, and that can kind of hinder movies half the time because you know you have high expectations because of these reviews, and when that happens, sometimes those high expectations don't are not lived up to. Hence, it follows. I know a lot of people love that movie, but I hate that movie. But anyways, it was one of those movies, and it. I thought the trailer was creepy enough. I thought it was very creepy. I kind of had no idea what the fuck was going on in that trailer, but it looked creepy enough that it kind of caught my interest. And like I said, the word of mouth has been very strong. Although the audience reaction to this movie has not been very good. I've seen a lot of people have given. I think it got like a cinema score of C minus. Although fucking the Twilight movies have gotten like A plus, so it doesn't matter what cinema score says. I usually they're pretty fucking wrong. They pull a bunch of idiots, but honestly, that's what they pretty much do. But yeah, this movie hasn't been getting well received by audiences, so I was like, all right, I'm kind of curious. Is this one? Is this one of those movies that's like? Is this one of those horror movies that's like Cabin in the Woods that exceeds its expectations, or is it like It Follows, or it fucking sucks? Well, I'm gonna say this right now. This might be the fucking strangest movie I've seen of 2016. I highly doubt anything will compare to this. This movie is nuts. That's nothing. There's no other description to this for this movie other than it is freaking nuts. It is disturbing. It is weird as shit, and I kind of fucking liked it. This is a movie that I'm kind of glad I waited 2 days to review this because this is a movie. After I saw it, I had to think about it more a lot, whether I liked it or not. Because this is one of those movies like as soon as the movie was over, I'm like, I don't know whether I like this movie or not. This is one of those movies I'm not sure but as the days progressed, I was like, you know what, this movie was fucking awesome. Like I realized that there was a lot about this movie I really loved. This movie is it is something else. It's a movie I don't want to spoil too much of, but by God, I'm gonna kind of get into spoilers here. But so forewarning you, because I do want to talk about a few things in this movie that happened in this movie. I thought the acting in this thing was really goddamn good. I particularly like the dad in this movie. I don't know his name. I swear I've seen him in stuff before, but he is pretty damn good. in this film, and pretty intense in a lot of scenes, especially towards the end. The daughter was good, and also everybody kind of like was really good. Even those weird ass twins in this movie were played their role to a T. God damn, this is a movie. This movie is creepy as shit. It is. It is very. There's some very creepy shit and very intense stuff going on in this movie. It's not all very gore heavy, but it does have a lot of gore in it, but not as much as like modern day horror film. That's what I like about this movie, is that it's not your conventional horror movie that you see nowadays. It's far from anything I've seen in a while. It doesn't go for the cheap jump scares that every horror movie does nowadays. Although there's a few, I think, jump scares here and there, they're few and far between. And it's just so refreshing for a horror movie not to have any of those, and rely on those all the goddamn time for scares. It's pretty sad that when I gotta praise a movie like that for this. I will say this. This movie, all you need to know about this movie is in the first fucking 15 minutes what you're in for. In the first 15 minutes, you get introduced to these characters, and they're taken off the plantation like you've seen in the movies, and they're out in their wilderness. And within the first 15 minutes, you've seen this in the trailer before, in that scene where the girl's playing peekaboo with the baby, and the baby goes missing, and something carried it out into the woods, and that's all you see in the trailer. But what the trailer doesn't show you is what happens to the baby, because it cuts to the baby lying on the table. This happens in the first 15 minutes, people, right? And it cuts to the baby lying on a fucking table, and then the witch holding a knife to the baby, and then it cuts to black and cuts to the witch. Next, it cuts to the witch bathing itself in the baby's blood. Yep. That is what happens in the first 15 minutes. I remember going, okay, this is that kind of movie. That's exactly my fucking reaction. And from that point forward, it sets the goddamn tone of this movie. This movie is nuts. Like, I had no idea where the fuck this thing was going half the time. I didn't know how this was going to end. I knew anything could fucking happen by the end of this thing. And pretty much anything does. There's crows biting a woman's nipples off. A goat demon, baby murdering, somebody being gored by a goat, somebody eating a goat. I don't know where else it's one of those fucking... Yes, I did say Satan. There's a Satan goat in this movie. I am not making that up. This is that kind of movie. I also call bullshit, and everybody's saying this is a slow burn movie. I call bullshit on that. When the first 15 minutes a baby gets murdered, that's not a slow burn. I'm sorry. End of fucking discussion. And this movie has a lot of intense moments. Like, it's a lot of dread, a lot of, like, just uneasiness about this film. Like, the atmosphere in this movie is fantastic. Like, it's uneasy, a lot of uneasiness about this film. I can see why people don't like this movie. Like I said, it's not your conventional horror movie from what you see nowadays, and that is refreshing for somebody like me. But for modern movie goers, it probably isn't. Also, it doesn't help that this movie is the language is spoken in Old English, so it's a lot of "come hither, here, dear," stuff like. I'm trying to think of an example there. That's the best example I can think of. It's a lot of Old English. It's set during the Pilgrim days, and it would have been distracting if they would use modern English. That would have been fucking really distracting. I understand that, but also found myself being really more confused than I should be because of that fucking old English, because I had no idea what the fuck they were talking about half the damn time. I didn't know what they were saying half the time, and it caused a lot of my confusion. And also, there's a lot of just weird shit happening on my screen. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, there's a lot of times where I was saying that, and the part that the woman got her nipple bit off by a crow was probably the part where I literally yelled that out loud. I had a few people out laughing behind me. I This is one of those movies you'll probably find yourself saying that. This is a movie, and the ending, the movie. Well, I'm not gonna give away the ending, but the ending of this movie, you kind of sit there. I kind of looked around me and went, "Well, that was something I just saw." Like, I it's a very weird movie, but I really, really enjoyed this movie. I could see this movie not being for everybody, yes, but by God, is this weird. And also, one of the things I liked about this movie is that this is a really fucked up version of a Grimm's fairy tale. That's the way I looked at it, because it is like presents itself like a fairy tale, and it's a really fucked up fairy tale. I don't remember in Grimm's fairy tales babies being murdered or women's breasts being pecked by crows, unless I didn't read all of the Grimm's fairy tales. I remember them being dark, but not this fucking dark. This is like, I also really liked another thing I forgot to mention. This is almost was the one thing I did like was the whole movie is about how like their deep religion, like being deeply religious and having like being deeply religious can kind of cause you to be paranoid. Like a lot of people nowadays, religious paranoia, and it kind of is pretty relevant to today's culture, because there are a lot of paranoid religious people out there, and it's kind of interesting. Like, they made a horror movie about that, surrounded it by that with that. I really like that. That's one of the best aspects about this movie. I love the religious paranoia part of this movie. That's probably one of the things I love the most. I recommend seeing this movie in the theater. Definitely check it out. As far as trailers go, it's actually the only movie I got any new trailers with. I got the trailer for Green Room. This is another movie I've heard about. This is the first time I've seen a trailer for it. It's Anton Yelchin is a leader of a rock group that goes backstage during their concert and comes across a white supremacist group murdering a woman or something like that, and the white supremacist group then proceeds to terrorize this band, and like lock them in this building, and they have to try to escape. And also, the white supremacist group is led by Patrick Stewart, which is kind of interesting. That's kind of different for Patrick Stewart. Why not? It's another movie that's getting really good reviews, and it kind of looks really good. For the trailer, it looked pretty cool, and a pretty awesome soundtrack to it too. I'll have to check it out. Also, I got a new trailer for Demolition. That's that movie of Jake Gyllenhaal, and from the director of Dallas Buyers Club, where his wife dies, and he's trying to rebuild his life by demolishing a bunch of things. Hence the title. That's the best way I can describe it. It looks alright. I love Jake Gyllenhaal, but it looks like an alright indie film. Honestly, it doesn't look too bad. That's as far as trailers go. I'll be back in a few minutes with my other review here shortly.